Take it for a sign that I should succeed in my work." "Oh, it was nothing to do with me?" "Not then. Afterward I knew that, while I thought my own free will suggested my influencing you, it was destiny that influenced me. Kismet! It had to happen so. But you punished me for my presumption. You treated me as if I were a slave, a thing that hardly had a place in your world." "I know. That's what I've asked you to forgive me for." "And because you've asked me to forgive, I'm telling you this. I was furious, and I said, 'She shall be sorry. I will make her sorry.' My whole wish was to humble you. I wanted to conquer, and though you classed me with servants, to be your master. I don't blame you, Antoun Effendi. And you have conquered, in a better way than you meant when you were angry and hating me. You've conquered by showing your true self. You are my friend. That's what you want, isn't it? Not to be my master, when you don't hate me any longer?" "No, that is not what I want. I still want to be your master." "Then you do hate me, even now?" "No, I don't hate you, Mademoiselle Gilder, although you've punished me over and over again for being the brute I was at first. You have conquered me, not I you. But I don't want to be your friend. If you didn't look at me as being a man beyond the pale, you would understand very well what I want." "Don't say that!" cried Monny, quickly. "Don't say that you're a man beyond the pale. I can't stand it. Oh, I do know what you want. I do understand it. I think I should have died if you hadn't wanted it. And yet I could almost die because you do." "You could die because I love you?" "Yes, of joy, and—" "You care for me?" "Wait. I could die of joy and sorrow too. Joy, because I do care, and my heart longs for you to care. Sorrow, because—oh, it's the saddest thing in the world, but we can never be any more to each other than we are now." "You say that so firmly, because you think of me in your heart as a man of Egypt. Dearest and most beautiful, you are great enough if you choose, to mount to your happiness over your prejudice. If you can love me in spite of what I am—" "I love you in spite of it, and because of it too, and for every reason, and for no reason." "Thank God for that! You've said this to me against your convictions. I have won." "No, for it's all I can ever say. There can be no more between us." "You couldn't love me enough to be my wife, though I tell you now that you're the star of my soul? Never till I saw you have I loved a woman or spoken a word of love to one, except my beautiful mother. I've kept all for you, more than I dreamed I had to give. And it's yours for ever and ever. But just because you've said to yourself that we're of stranger races, who mustn't meet in love, you raise a barrier between us. Are our souls of stranger races?" "No. Sometimes it almost seems as if our souls were one. You have waked mine with a spark from your own. I think I was fast asleep. I didn't know I had a soul, scarcely even a heart. But now I know. Learning to know you has taught me to know myself. And if I'm kinder to everybody, all the rest of my life, even silly rich people I used to think didn't need kindness, it will be through loving you. I'm not afraid to tell you that, and though I used to be afraid I might love you, I'm glad I do now. Glad! I shall never regret anything, even when I suffer. And I shall suffer when we're parted." "You're sure we must part?" "Sure, because there's no other way, being what we are, and life being what it is. Always I've thought, since my father died, that he was near me, watching to see what I did with my life. For he loved me dearly, and I loved him. We were everything to each other. Even if that were the only reason, I couldn't do a thing that would have broken his heart. It would be treacherous, now that he's helpless to forbid me. Don't you see?" "I see. And if it were not for that reason?" "If it were not for that, oh, I don't know, I don't know. But yes, I do know. The truth comes to me. It speaks out of my heart. If it were only for myself, if I felt free from a vow, nothing could make me say to you, 'Go out of my life.'" "That's what I wanted to be sure of. I could thank you on my knees for those words. For I, too, have made a vow which I won't break. And if I were free of it, I might tell you a thing now which would beat down the barrier. Well, we will keep our vows, both of us, my queen." "Yes, we must keep them. But oh, how are we to bear it? Fate has brought us together, and it's going to part us. We love each other, and we must go out of one another's lives. What shall we do when we can't see each other any more? Ever any more?" "That time shall not come." "But it must, soon." "Will you trust me till Khartum?" I'll trust you always. I mean for a special thing, just till Khartoum. In the foolish days when I wished to conquer you, and make you humble yourself to me, I vowed by my mother's love that I'd not tell you, or let Borrow tell, a fact about myself which might win your favour. It was a bad vow to make, a stupid vow, but a vow by my mother's love I could not break, any more than you can break one to your father's memory. I'll abide by it, but trust me till Khartoum, and there you shall know what I can't tell you now. I always hoped you would find out there, if we went as far as Khartoum together. Then I hoped, because I was a conceited fool. Now I hope this thing, and all it means, because I am your lover. Ah, dear Antoun, don't hope, because it seems to me that nothing nearer than heaven can bring us the kind of happiness you want. If you hadn't told me you cared, nothing that may come at Khartoum could have brought us any happiness to me at all, for it would have been too late for that, for you to say you cared, and for the word to have the value it has now. You've said it in spite of yourself. Trust me for the rest. Will you? If you ask me like that, yes, I trust you, though I don't understand. That's what I want. Say this: I believe that we shall be happy, and trust without understanding that it will be proved at Khartoum. Monty repeated the words after him. And although I was that vile worm, an eavesdropper, I was so happy that I could have picked Biddy up in my arms and waved her like a flag. Anthony was going to be happy, and that ought to be a good omen that I should be happy too. I am almost happy now, Monty went on, happier than I thought I could be, with things as they are. I used to be miserable, partly about myself, partly because I thought you were in love with Biddy, you were so much nicer to her than me, and partly because I believed, till I knew you well, that you wanted to marry Aunt Clara for money, though you cared for someone else. I even told Lord Ernest that about you. I had to tell somebody. And besides, I felt it would be good for him to think you cared for Biddy. Being jealous might wake him up to see that he was in love with her himself. He really is rather a duffer at times. And oh, talking of him and Biddy reminds me of them. Where can they be all this time? Heaven alone knows or cares, replied Anthony, and I realized the truth of the proverb about listeners, even where their best friends are concerned. I was obliged to kiss Biddy to keep from laughing out loud, and she couldn't scream or box my ears, or all our dreadful precautions would have been vain. We must find them, said Monty. Why? Oh, if we don't, they might find us. Anthony laughed, a giveaway, English-sounding laugh, but Monty did not recognize its birthplace. Her own laugh interrupted it too soon, ringing out so happily it probably surprised herself. If they find us here, quavered Biddy, clinging to me. They can't, if you'd only let me hold you tight enough, I whispered. If they look in, they'll just take us for a black spot in the dark. But they didn't look in. They went downstairs, and then there was the time to get in the rest of my deadly work with Biddy. We must wait a few minutes, or they couldn't help knowing we'd been near them, and I made the best use of those few minutes. Biddy wouldn't promise anything, but said she would think it over and let me know the result of her thinking in a day or two. To our great surprise, on arriving in open air at the level of the roof below, we saw that the sun was gone, and a slim young moon was sliding down the rose-red trail. It is indeed wonderful, say prophets of the obvious, how quickly time passes when your attention is engaged. And one comfort of being obvious is that you are generally right. We tried to flit forth from the dark recesses of the pylon stairway without being seen or heard, but as luck would have it, Monty and Fenton had had just time to discover that our boat was gone. The girl was hunting for us, to see if we were anywhere, or if in some mad freak we could have gone off and left them to their fate. As we sneaked guiltily out, she caught us. "Biddy! Lord Ernest!" she exclaimed. Why, you've been upstairs!" A good rule for diplomats, duffers, and others, is never to tell a falsehood when there is no hope that anyone will believe it. Yes," we both mumbled. "But there isn't any upstairs except where we were." "Yes, there is," Biddy assured her hastily, too hastily. "You were on the roof. We were in the little room of the Guardian." He showed it to us. "There's a window." "Oh, we were under it. You must both have heard." "Murder will out," I said, with the calmness of despair. But then it occurred to me that there was a way of using the weapon which threatened as a boomerang. "Dearest," Biddy adjured her beloved, humbly, "you wouldn't have had us spoil everything by moving, would you? I said to the duffer, when he wanted to do something desperate, 'If we interrupt them, nothing will ever come right.'" Besides, we were too busy getting